All right, Aidan, you can help me with this project. This is going to be a clamp, like a bar that's going to clamp. It's going to bolt onto the transom of the boat at the lower end. It's going to use the existing bolts that are on there, which are nice stainless steel 1/2-inch bolts, to actually hold the bottom part of the bracket up against the transom on the boat. Now, we wouldn't have to drill new holes in the boat, considering we don't know whether or not we're going to keep that motor on there. So I've got this piece of aluminum scrap from somewhere, I don't know where. It's nice and thick. It's like 1 inch thick. Okay. It's long enough. I already checked the length. So since I've got this extra width to play with, I've decided, based on my measurements and everything, that I want to make this 2.5 inches wide. Oddly enough, there's already a line somebody scribed on here at 2.5 inches. So it looks like they were getting ready to cut something out of here. I don't know what. All right. But here's the thing. If we put this in the milling machine, we got a couple of ways we could deal with this. To get this down to 2.5, we could literally take an end mill and start literally cutting, shaving off on this end. And we would be really old men by the time we got down to here. So I want to make a less precise cut to take the majority of this material off and then use the milling machine to make the final cuts, to get to the precise, or within relative reason, pretty precise width of this thing. So I can't just, I want to use a bandsaw. We could use what's called a slitting saw, which is like a thin circular saw blade on an arbor on the mill, and we would actually sit this up like this, and we would come in with that saw and we would cut. It would be pretty slow, and we'd have to put a ton of lubricant on there, and again, slow, don't want to do it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this with the bandsaw. So we're going to cut this with the bandsaw. Now, in a perfect world, I would use a vertical metal cutting bandsaw, okay, which would have a fence on it, which would allow me to get pretty close to this line and have a pretty straight, even cut and not have to worry about it. I do not have a vertical metal cutting bandsaw. I have a woodworking saw. The blade goes too fast, and even if I put a metal cutting blade on there, because it goes so fast, it would burn up. So the blade would actually, the tips of the blade would get so hot they would melt. They would lose temper, and the cutting edges would be toast in a short period of time, even in aluminum. So, well, maybe not aluminum, but we're not going to find out. So I'm going to use my portable bandsaw that I have, that big thing that you hold. But the thing is, that can be a little bit tricky to hold and keep going a straight line. So what we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves like 3/8 of an inch fudge factor. So what I want to do is I want to make a line 3/8 of an inch over from this 2.5, which 1/2 an inch is 4/8 plus 3/8 is 7/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to make a line at 2 7/8. All right. On both ends. Okay. Then what I'm going to have you do, this is a special metal marking pen. Okay. This, kind of like that soapstone thing you showed me. The soapstone piece that you had in metal shop at school that you brought home. That's good for marking metal that's dark colored, but this is a light color. I can't find my thick black Sharpie. It's not handy. Always seems to be missing. If I had that, we would use that. Make a nice big fat line. All right, this should, yeah, see this marks nice. So what we're going to do, oops, okay, so I'm going to take this, right, you're going to hold it, you're going to line it up on this mark here. Make sure you're on both marks. Hold it with a little bit of pressure and just strike me a line right down there. Beautiful. All right. Now we take our cap, straight edge. This is just a piece of ground stock, so I know it's very straight. This has been ground in a surface grinder. You can tell by the finish on it. Okay. You could also use a ruler, or as professionals call them, scales. Daylight's burning. Let's get the heck out there so we can do this outside in the yard and not make a huge mess in here.
Burning?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like the sun is a light bulb and it's getting ready to burn out. In other words, get ready to set. So this nice machine right here, this is a Milwaukee portable bandsaw. I don't know if these guys invented this or not, but this is a great tool. So what I'm going to do is, see right now, there's no tension on the blade. It's because it's in the stored state. So what I do is, this lever right here, this is a cam inside here. When I turn this and I flip this lever and I lock this like this, now the blade is taut. We don't store it like this because right now this is in an oval shape, right? If the blade's not moving and we keep it stored like this, what will happen is the blade will want to retain that oval shape all the time, and it's not good. If we keep the tension off of it, it's much better for the blade. So we're going to, even on your big vertical bandsaws, the tall ones, yeah, if they're not being used every day, you're going to have it in storage for a while or whatever, you want to take the tension off of the blade. All right, so now that we've got that all hooked up, now we can plug it in. This is the front handle to support it. This is the rear handle, okay? And the idea is don't be left-handed like Daddy is. You know what? Go get the bug spray. There's a mosquito right on you there. They are out here. We got this triple E crap in Massachusetts now. All right, Aidan, what I started to say was don't be left-handed like Daddy. This is a right-handed saw. How do I know that? Because when I hold it like this, if I want to cut something, I can't see what I'm cutting, right? But if I stand on this side, I can sight right down. I'm looking right down at that blade right there.
Change your how you write and do stuff.
So this saw is made for a person to use their right hand on here as the primary guide, or I believe so anyways. This is, I believe, right-hand dominant, which makes sense. But that's okay. You're right-handed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, all right.
You're trusting
I
me?
should have wore better shoes, I guess, if I knew I was going to be my feet were going to be on video. I'm not wearing safety glasses because I am not going to be cutting it. You are going to cut it. Got it?
Oh, you trust me?
Time to learn. All right, so, hey, they trust you with more damaging stuff at school now, right? Now that you're going to big Voc Tech?
Yes, better tuck in my shirt.
Okay, now, here's the tricky thing about this saw. Couple things. When you first start this saw, it's got some startup torque. Not much. Actually, this barely has any at all. So disregard that. Some tools, when you pull a trigger, it pulls a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always like, oh, you got to start it before you go on there. You do have to start it before you go on there. Okay? If I try and put this on here like this and I start it, it's going to want to walk all over and it's going to be a hell of a thing. Okay? So the trick is, what I want to do is I want to hold it at an angle like this so that I'm just, when I first make contact and I'm trying to cut, I'm cutting this edge right here. This very little edge. And I start cutting in this way. As that gets deeper, it's going to help the blade stay in position. So it's not going to want to walk back and forth. Once I see that it's not walking back and forth, what you do is, or what you're going to do, is you're going to slowly tilt this back like this. Okay? So that you can start cutting the full width of it. Got it?
Yeah.
All right? So you're going to come here, you're going to sight down on this like this, right? You're going to touch off there and let the saw blade start to cut in and then start tilting back. You don't want to pull this out of the front, right? You just want to get to the point where if you can get this level so you can go straight down, and then you're going to be looking right down there, sighting down your big yellow line.
With this $300 machine.
I didn't pay that. That's how much it was. That's what they priced it for at the pawn shop, but the pawn shop always has crazy prices. That's why you haggle with them. Never pay the marked price at a pawn shop. Matter of fact, don't go to pawn shops.
Why do you? You've seen the machine.
This special class of people. All right. You've got your hearing protection? No, you do not.
Where
I brought it out here, didn't I?
You're the one who stole mine.
I was right there. Okay, all hearing protection is mine, and then I let you use it.
No, I got one from
The red ones that say Aidan on them.
No, I got a pair of these from Auntie Ann.
All right, so seems kind of rickety, but the reason why I did it this way is because if we had it horizontal on a table or something like that, the clamps kind of get in the way. By doing it this way and having it stick up, it's a lot easier because we can actually hold this portable bandsaw here, and you can sight right down the line and cut. And you get down, when you start getting close to the blade here, you stop, flip it around, cut from the other end, and have it meet, and it'll be good enough. Because we're not looking for perfection on this cut, right? Right.
Right. Left.
Oh, see, this would be a good 2-camera shoot, but I don't have I don't have a. All right. So now that it started cutting, what you want to do is this black thing right here is called the fence.
Yeah.
This needs to be held up against this.
Okay.
So a little bit of forward pressure to keep that forward. Go ahead. There you go. Alright, hold on.
There's a bend in it.
What, the blade?
Yeah, it's bending now.
Yeah, that's true. Because you've got to keep. You're twisting it like this. You've got to keep it like this. Okay.
Mhm.
Try it. Hold on. Let me borrow those glasses for a second. Let me just check something out here. That seems like it's straining way too much. Let's see whether or not it's just your technique. Huh?
Let me see your glasses.
All right, hold on. Don't do it yet. Hold it up like that so that we're not twisting the blade. Let me go get some lube. When we're cutting steel and other metals, we use cutting oil.
I know.
But for aluminum,
You use WD-40.
WD-40 is a good substituting oil, so, or cutting fluid, so. Go ahead.
I think the band broke.
Didn't break, it fell off. That's better. Let the saw do the work, don't force it. That's better, good. Perfect. Yep, looking good. You're gonna go back towards the line this way. You're gonna tilt it back a little bit more this way to try and get it to come back. Way off.
Yeah,
You're going way the hell
Yeah,
back.
it won't turn back.
All right, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna here watch me.
Not touching anything.
Yeah, it is. The fence is hitting the wagon, so we've gone down as far as we can.
We can go the other way. I'll put this on first.
We need Mark out here.
What?
We need Mark out here.
Why?
Because then it can be the Three Stooges cut the metal.
Yeah.
Start it with the fence already up against it. That way it won't jerk forward on you. I'm trying to get it to walk back to the line where we want it. We bottomed out. So anyways, for those of you watching on the video, we edited out a bunch of mishaps and stuff like that, but essentially what happened was one of the used blades we had got jammed in there and ended up having to snap it to get it out, And what we ended up, when we took the bad piece out, we could see it was right where that had a bad kink in it. So kink blades aren't great. This one also has a kink in it, but it's got an area where there's a couple teeth missing, so it's skipping a little bit. But it's tracking correctly and working correctly. Problem is now that we ran out of room. We can't go any deeper on this side. And we probably can't go any deeper on the other side even if we wanted to. So we're gonna have to finish the cut the old-fashioned way.
You are doing it.
That's only about an inch of depth that's going to be cut. And actually, you know what? That's going to be too deep for a hacksaw blade too. So I think what we're going to have to do is
How about one of those saws that...
Sawzall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good description of it. If I have a metal cutting blade for Sawzall. All right. Where does the time go? So the sun is setting. We've not been able to do anything with a hacksaw because the throat of the hacksaw, even this deep one, can't reach it deep enough. What I wanted to do was use a metal cutting blade in my Sawzall to finish this cut, but that's where all this time has gone. It's basically been wasted trying to search for a metal cutting blade, and I've come to the conclusion that I don't have any new ones on hand, and rather than run to the store and get one, I'm going to try and use this cutoff wheel, this cutoff disc, and the grinder here to finish this cut. This isn't a cutoff wheel.
What is it?
Please tell me this is not. Oh yeah, this is a masonry. Moron, I grabbed the wrong grinder. This has a masonry cutoff disc in it. I mean a masonry cutting disc.
What's that for?
Oh, for cutting bricks and stone and stuff. I was like, why the hell is that so wide? I really should pay more attention. Go ahead and unplug that.
Again?
Yeah, I gotta go get the right grinder. All right, now we have the correct type of cutoff wheel in my Hitachi. I guess the shield. Now when I do this, when it starts getting down into the groove, the important thing is I can't start turning it like this, because that'll torque the cutoff wheel and it'll make it want to shatter. This has startup torque. See how it's clean? I'm bottoming out right here. So what I gotta do is I gotta flip it over and cut the other side. Always be careful when you put a grinder down. Lots of times guys will put a grinder down on the bench when it's still spinning like that, and that thing will go zoop. And if you're unfortunate, it'll go over like your workpiece or your hand or somebody else's hand that's working next to you or whatever. You should always try and put it down like that, or make sure it's stopped before you put it down.
Like a drill.
Hmm?
Like a drill.
What's a good drill?
Like a drill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, only though a drill almost never takes off on you. This thing will literally go zzz. I've seen it happen.
A drill will just wrap up in your shirt and stab you in the throat.
All right, let's move this show inside.